With the NBA restart happening in just a few weeks, the Golden State Warriors are among the 8 teams who are not going to be headed to Orlando. And that's a big deal because we've known the Warriors as a team that's always competing for a championship. Not this year, though. For the Warriors, it's one of those off seasons that's going to be about gearing up for the future, trying to make one more run with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They do have some options to continue to build their team. They can do that through the draft, they can do that through trade, and they also have a trade exception that they received from the Grizzlies when they traded Andre Iguodala last summer. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you about some of the players I think the Warriors should be trading for, and they can use that exception or their pick in the 2020 draft. How's it going, everybody? This is Troy, host of the Half Court Report YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video. If it's your first time here, think about subscribing to the channel. New NBA content all the time, several times a week. So let's get into today's video talking about some players that I think the Warriors should trade for in order to really bolster their team and to make another run for a championship. The first guy the Warriors should consider trading for, and this would be a real dream scenario, is John Collins with the Atlanta Hawks. Collins is about 6'10", he can play the power forward, he can play the center spot, and he would be a contributor from day one. He's really young too, only 22 years old. He's just scratching the surface of the type of player that he can be. His contract is good. He's still in his rookie year deal. He has one more year left at about $4 million. Then he's going to be eligible for an extension. And he's talked about how he wants that max extension. So in that case, he would be wanting somewhere in the range of about $20 to $25 million per year for the next 4 years. So definitely a hefty price to pay if you're going to get John Collins on the team for the long term. So why could he be available? Well, a big reason is because the current Atlanta Hawks GM used to work in the Golden State organization. You may recall that Atlanta traded for Clint Capella back in February. So there's questions if Collins and Capella can play together. Are their games going to be able to work well with each other? And also, Capella has a pretty big salary, so do you want to tie up the money in re-signing Collins when you're going to have other guys coming up for extensions in a few years too, like Trae Young? Are you going to want to tie up that money and also maybe keep you from adding other free agents to that Hawks team? Another guy the Warriors could possibly trade for is Robert Covington of the Houston Rockets. Covington, he's 6'7", 29 years old, a really good 3-and-D wing player. He can defend small forwards, power forwards, even some centers in a small ball lineup. He's another guy who could contribute from day one. Consider him plug and play, can really shoot the deep ball, which is something the Warriors really value. He has about 2 years and $25 million total remaining on his contract. So not a terrible contract. Reason he could be available is the Rockets are going to want to save money at some point. You know, they've got Russell Westbrook on the books. They've got James Harden on the books. Both of these guys make tons of money. They still have PJ Tucker on the books. You got to remember, the Houston Rockets owner is a guy who is a little tight with doling out huge contracts all the time. He's trying to save money. So it could be one of those things where they're open to moving one of their pieces, especially if they don't do very well in the playoffs this year. One trade that I really like, if the Warriors would be able to pull it off, would be for Jrue Holiday of the Pelicans. Jrue is a guy who's been in trade rumors for the past year or so, especially ever since the Pelicans really started going into rebuilding mode with Zion, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball. Jrue seems like he's been in the league forever, but he's really only about 30 years old. He can play the point guard. He can play the shooting guard, so you can slot him easily when either Klay or Steph sit. You could even roll out a 3-guard lineup with Steph, Jrue, Klay, Draymond at the 5, even Andrew Wiggins at the 4. Super small lineup, but really quick too. That would easily give the Warriors probably the best three-guard rotation in the league. His contract? It is pretty steep. He's got 2 years left, over $50 million on that deal. But a reason he could be available, because the Pelicans are building around the young guys. Zion, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball. None of those guys are older than 22 years old. They are looking for picks. They're looking for financial flexibility. And with Jrue Holiday's huge contract, it would be great if they could get off that deal, open up some cap space, sign some free agents at some point, because free agents are going to love coming to New Orleans playing with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Also, Brandon Ingram is coming up for an extension. You're going to need that money to re-sign him to the deal he's going to want. With Jrue Holiday making so much, there would have to be maybe a third or fourth team involved to really make the numbers work, but I think it's something, if all the teams are committed to doing it, it could get done. Another guy who's been on the trade block for a long time is Aaron Gordon with the Orlando Magic. I've talked before about places he could potentially be traded, and I think Golden State is another option. So Aaron Gordon, he's a combo forward, but I think primarily he's better suited for the power forward spot. He's 6'8". He's from the Bay Area, which is always pretty cool when guys are able to come home. He's capable of playing great defense, he can guard multiple positions, and he can score points as well. He's got 2 years left on his deal, totaling at about $35 million. Reason he could be available is that he's been in Orlando for about 6 years now, and he just really hasn't been able to put it all together consistently for long periods of time for the Magic. And the Magic are at the point where they've drafted Jonathan Isaac to play that 4 spot. He and Aaron Gordon can't really play that well together. Could be one of those cases where get a guy in different scenery, get different guys around him, and he may realize his full potential. The last guy I like is Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics, and this is one of those things where you slot him in as part of a 3-guard lineup. Of course, he's nowhere near the player that Jrue Holiday is, but he's still a really capable defender. He can score, he can hit the 3, and he can play hard 48 minutes on the floor. He's about 6'4", 26 years old, and he's been coming off the bench for the Celtics basically since he came into the league. So he's used to that. He's used to being a sub off the bench. But the thing about Marcus Smart, he can defend. He can make plays. He can score in bunches, and his intensity is one of the highest in the league. He's one of those guys that I just call a bulldog when he's out there. He just makes life miserable for the guy he's defending, and he plays really, really hard. His three-point percentage above 35%, so you have to guard him out there. He can hit that a little bit. His contract status, not too bad. He's got about 2 years left, about $12 to $13 million each year. Reason he could be available is the Celtics know that they need to get bigger and they need to get better up front. They really don't have a capable center behind Daniel Tice. And a lot of folks say, well,
Daniel Tice is more of a backup anyway.
It comes down to this. The Celtics are likely going to have to move somebody off their roster in order to be able to get some front court help. They're not going to trade Kemba Walker. Seems like it would be tough to trade Gordon Hayward. They're not trading Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. So Marcus Smart, as much as they love him, as much as the fans love him, he becomes kind of the default guy that's going to have to get traded. He's an attractive trade chip that they can potentially add quality size with the team. Guys, let me know what you think about today's video. So some of these trades are kind of crazy. It would take some fancy crunching of the numbers to make some of these deals work, but I think it's one of those things, if both sides are committed to making this deal, they could pull it off. Crazier things have definitely happened. But tell me in the comments if you like any of these trades and if you would like to see any of these guys get traded to the Warriors and what you think the teams would look like when it's all said and done. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Would love if you drop a like on this video as well. As always, thanks for watching. This is Troy, and I'll see you next time.